Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to take a real quick bathroom break.
No problem. I'll try and catch up with our comments here. Okay, Curtis, where are the comments? Where are my comments? Oh, never mind. I see them.
I was going to make the point that you can bring up topics that people bring up in the chat. You don't have to comment back, but you can say it live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you should do that.
Well, I know.
So that you get more ideas. Scroll down to the bottom.
Well, this is it, isn't it?
No, but it's up to date at the bottom.
Okay. Well, I'm just going through the whole thing real quick. Don't say ignore, Scott. It makes it sound like you're saying don't listen to me.
No.
I know. Okay. No, I'm not going to get drawn into stuff.
There's already been a couple people that have dealt with them. I called you a fat idiot.
Cool.
I told him to shut up.
Hey, the guy that told me I'm a fat idiot, I want you to know that I'm proud of this baby. I'm proud of this. It took me years to build it. This is an example of what dedication, sense of purpose, and practice can do. You too could have a stomach like this. Now, don't take me wrong. I don't judge people that are skinny. I just think it's a tragedy that someone could go through life, eat all this wonderful food, and have nothing to show for it in the end.
Scott, no, what you should say is, yeah, some people have a six-pack. I have a keg.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so where were we?
We were talking about the.
I was forgetting.
We were talking about the already existing holes in the fossil record.
Well, I can show you one picture that shows the transition from the ape common ancestor that man has to present-day Homo sapien.
I've seen the pictures.
Mind if I post the link?
Oh, that's great. But I've seen the picture. But the problem I have with it is that you look at the bones that all this speculation is built on, and it's kind of like, okay. You know, all I know is on the crime programs, they need a lot more than that to come up with a face, you know. But don't know how much
they do have a lot
credit
more
I should give CSI. What? Yes?
They do have a lot more than that. They've got DNA, they've got the phylogeny, they've got the distribution of species across the earth. The fossil record is really the least important bit of evidence that for evolution.
It's also the most important evidence against evolution because, like I say, what you're saying is you're insisting that because there's the number 1 and 2 that there has to be the number 3, and because there's the number 4 and 5 there has to therefore be a 6, and so on. But if I have buckets and buckets and buckets to choose from, and I just randomly grab a handful from here and there and just throw a very small sample on the ground, and there are no 3s, there are no 7s. That's a highly improbable thing if those 3s and 7s actually exist or did exist. You know what I'm talking about with the coins, that the 3s are the gaps.
Yeah.
The 3s and the 7s are the gaps, and and I'm saying we have a lot of 1s, a lot of 2s, a lot of 5s, a lot of 6s, but we don't have any 3s or 7s. So the gap is a real thing. I mean, it really is significant.
Didn't live in areas where there was rapid burial or wet wet climate that would fossilize them. In other words,
Well,
since
that
the fossil record
I'm sure that
is biased,
Mm-hmm.
since the fossil record is definitely biased against certain things, things that aren't buried, you're not going to see those fossils. There's going to be fossils missing no matter what. We know that for sure, because anything that's not quickly buried is not going to be fossilized.
Right. But that's a bigger miracle than anything the Bible claims. Because what you're saying had to, I mean, granted, if evolution was true, there would certainly be cases where there would be gaps in the fossil record. But given that there's gaps between every major species, that's a little bit much to swallow. That all the transitional ones go hide in no fossil land, and then as soon as they form a big population, they spread out and go back into fossil land, where their remains remain. I mean, that's creative. I grant you that.
It's the fossil record, for at least for humans, it definitely shows the transition. Now I'm not exactly sure about this.
Well, they show pictures.
If we have
yeah.
Right, but if I'm going to look up the statistics,
they show pictures.
But
yeah,
I've heard that the chance of something getting fossilized, if there was fossilization occurring, there would be about 50 complete human skeletons in all of North America. For all of North America today, there would probably be the chance of maybe 50 skeletons total.
Mm-hmm.
So that's out of
so why
almost 400 million humans.
But you're still not explaining why the ones we have are all grouped in galaxies, and we don't have anything from all the stars that you say must have existed between the galaxies. I'm just saying we do have a lot of fossils, and like I say, I have buckets and buckets and buckets of my numbered chips, and I'm only throwing out 2 handfuls. But if there are no 2s, if there are no 3s, or we'll make it simple. If there's all odd numbers and no even numbers, that's a very improbable thing. If you're going to say, well, the even numbers had to exist, because there had to be these transitional forms had to form large populations, for the changes to accumulate and interbreeding and, and so on. I mean, you don't have just, one narrow family. One creature gives birth to offspring, and one of his offspring has this advantage, then his grandchild has that advantage, and so on, and it just comes down this one line of this one family. And then finally they're so super that they expand into a whole new species. No, you need a large population to have any probability of having the kinds of mutations that you would have to have for natural selection to act on, even assuming that that all the ones you needed were beneficial in themselves.
It's hard to comment on things that I'm not fully informed on, but the fact is that evolution best